The greatest power in the universe is life, and it's in you. Every moment, every hour, every day, month, and year, you gain more experience, more ability, more power. Go be great.
You're listening to the Go Be Great podcast with Travis Wolfe Sr., inspiring you to strive for greatness in everything, everywhere, every time.
Go be great! Great day. Welcome to the Go Be Great podcast. I'm going to start over. Great day. Welcome to the Go Be Great podcast. I'm your host, Travis Wolfe Sr., and you are great. I have some amazing, super special guests here with me today. My wife, Diana Wolfe, my son, Travis Wolfe Jr., and today we're going to talk about some things that we believe are really, really important to the world. We're going to talk about the importance of what children, or the importance of understanding why children are here, their purpose for being here, and what they teach us, talking about leading with love, exercising patience, and giving children a voice, allowing children to have the voice that they're supposed to have. Before we get started, though, Diana and I are going to tell you a little story about how Travis was brought into this world. And Diana and I often don't see things exactly eye to eye when I tell stories. She thinks it's because I'm wrong. I think it's because as she gets older, her brain starts forgetting things, and because I know I'm right when I tell the story. She obviously doesn't agree, but
that's all right.
I'm.
Maybe, was it? That's not like a threat. No, it's okay.
I'm scared.
It's your podcast. It's your podcast.
I'm nervous
so,
now.
I'm gonna let you be great.
This.
This time.
So,
all right.
So I'm gonna get started and start telling the story. 2005. I believe that we tried to start a family. Diana doesn't really agree with that 100%. She doesn't. But I wanted to have a son. I know I wanted to have a son. We already had a daughter, Anaya, and I wanted to have a boy. I always wanted to have a boy, and I didn't know that. I'm definitely grateful for the girls. I have two girls. God bless me with two beautiful girls, and I'm grateful for what they brought to my life. I always wanted somebody who looked like me, who I could play football with, who I could tackle and play baseball and basketball with, all the sports that I loved when I was younger. So, I know a lot of guys, many men want to have their boy. I remember when Diana was pregnant in 2005, I was taking my sister to the airport, taking her to work. And on the way back, I got a call from Diana, and she was frantic, crying. She was, almost like screaming. I knew right away when she called me, and with those sounds that I heard, that she had lost a baby. We were 2 months pregnant at the time, and I just told her to be calm and let her know I'm gonna be on the way. And I was flying home. I ran every red light and stop sign that there was. I stopped and looked first, but I went through it. But I called the ambulance on the way home, and by the time I got home, or called 911 on the way home, and by the time I got there, the ambulance was there, and we got Diana to the hospital, and we lost the baby, and it was really challenging for us, for sure. It was really, really challenging emotionally for us, and I didn't really know exactly how to be supportive during that time. I was dealing with it myself as well, and I did the best that I could to be supportive to Diana, because I know how hard that is. Well, I can only guess, or be empathetic. I can't say I know, but I can only imagine how challenging that is for a woman to experience that. But together we got through it, and it eventually. Oh, that was Easter Sunday 2005. I forgot to mention that was really important. It was Easter Sunday 2005, and being Easter Sunday, it was really ironic. We don't really celebrate holidays, but understanding the meaning behind Easter, and, specifically being the day that Jesus was resurrected from the dead, it was really ironic that we lost a child that day. So fast forward Easter Sunday 2006, Travis Jr. was born into this world. And from that day, I knew that he was going to be special. I knew that he was going to do something powerful and impact the world in a powerful way. And I told him from the time he was born that he was special and that he was going to do something major in this world. I didn't know what it was at the time, but I knew he was going to be special. And I asked God to allow Travis and I to have the relationship that my father and I didn't have growing up. So I'm definitely super grateful for Travis being here. Was that tell the story good? Was that right? Was that okay?
It was long.
It was long.
But it was good.
It was every detail. She's covered every detail.
It got real, dark and emotional. But
I don't mean to get dark. I don't want to be dark. This is an uplifting podcast. It's inspiring you.
Hey, but the second part of the story.
Yeah, it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better for sure. But yeah, so Travis is the result of all of that. So if it was dark and dreary for you, Travis, smile so you can see the. There you go. See, that's it right there. So that's the inspiration, uplifting part. But I want to talk about the importance of the purpose of our children, because what I didn't know when we had Travis was really besides how special I thought that he was going to be or how much of an impact I thought he was going to make in the world. What I didn't know is that Travis had a purpose bigger than I really could imagine at the time, and part of that purpose was to teach me, to help me to grow. I don't know if we all appreciate that youth, that our children, that their purpose is to really help us to grow. We think that, of course, we're here for them, to serve them, to help them, to look after them and protect them, and all that stuff is true. But their purpose here is greater, and it's really to teach us to be better individuals. Because we always tell kids what they should do, what we want them to do, what they want them to be, how much they should act this way or how they should do this. I'm constantly telling my son why he should do certain things or not, or say certain things or whatever. And these kids today, man, the youth of today are so tired of lip service. They really need someone to be the example of what they're talking about. And in this family, at least, I try to do my best to have my children hold me accountable to make sure that I'm learning those lessons. Because I remember when I was younger, when my parents or my foster parents or whoever was my guardians at the time when I was younger, when I would try to challenge them or talk when they were speaking, I ended up in a lot of pain. I got busted in my mouth, I got slapped in the face. You didn't talk back. I got, my foster parents, a couple of my foster parents were really abusive if I said anything back while they were speaking. And they would tell me to do things that they weren't doing. And, it's like, how can you tell me not to, maybe not to curse if you're cursing, or how can you tell me not to, whatever, if you're doing those things? I needed an example instead of people just telling me what I should and shouldn't do. And sometimes when I'm getting with my son, he reminds me, and I asked him to do this for me and make sure he was okay with doing it, checking me if I get out of control. If I told him, if I try to punish you, if I lose control when you do something and I try to punish you, that punishment won't stand because I didn't lead with love, or I didn't exercise patience with you, or I didn't, didn't listen to you and give you a chance to have a voice and treat you like the human being that you are. We often tell kids, stay in the child's place, and we wag our finger at them. But what is a child's place really? Is that a real thing? I don't know. Some of us who are watching this podcast, we're parents, and we do think that's a real thing. But I believe that our children are human beings, not necessarily children, but human beings, just like we are, and they have a right to speak. They have a right to have a voice, and they have a right to be heard, just like we do. They're not necessarily. They're more little people, like smaller human beings, than like children who have a place, at least in my mind. What do you guys think about that?
I think that it's I mean, I do agree with you. Not just biased because I'm a smaller human. I do think that we're all humans. Just we have different experiences because some have been alive a lot longer than others. But I do think that it's cool to allow the smaller people to have a chance to speak. Get things off their mind. Because I feel like a conversation. Like a conversation is only when two people talk back and forth. So I do like the fact that you guys give me that space. Get things off my mind.
Good. A lot of parents don't do that with their children. They shut them down, and they don't have a chance to express themselves. I grew up not really knowing how to express my feelings or emotions because I wasn't allowed to. I had to just take whatever was going on and just deal with it. And my dad didn't let us have a voice. It was like whatever he said goes.
Yes. So and sometimes when you guys are super serious, sometimes you don't let me say what I say because sometimes you want me to hear the message and just go sit with that for a little bit. And when you don't let me talk, makes I get really angry because I have something I really want to say, but then I can't say it, and I get pretty upset, and it just kind of makes me feel some type of way for a little bit of time, and sometimes I act out because of it. But I feel like it's good to sometimes let them talk a little bit, so they don't have all that anger built up inside them.
For you parents who are listening today, listen to what Travis said about how it makes him angry when we don't let him speak. I remember trying to tell my dad how angry it made me, but he would never let me talk, and he shut me right down. As soon as I tried to say it and tell him how I felt, he was like, "That's bull-ish," and started going in on me, screaming at me, let me know to stay in the child's place. And when he talks, he's the only person that talks. I didn't get that space to be able to express myself. And I was 12, 13, 14 years old, and a young man. My son Travis just had a birthday, just turned 14, April 16th. I'm not sure when we're going to air this podcast. I think in a couple of weeks. I might see if we can push it up, but maybe we'll push the podcast up, make this episode 13. But it's fitting since it's episode 14 and you're 14. But he just had a birthday, and I was his age. I remember being his age and wanting to have a voice and how angry it made me. So I try to remember that when I'm dealing with him, and making sure that he understands how important it is for him to have a voice, and that I understand how important it is to let him. How do you feel about that, babe? Because I know we have a little bit of a
you really want
a little bit different. Well, yeah, you can speak for the people who have a little bit of a difference of opinion on that, for sure.
Well, I mean, I feel like children should have a voice for sure. I didn't grow up having a voice. Let's just say that. But I knew that I didn't even try most times because I just knew not to. But I am someone who believes that a child has a place. So, but it's for a different reason. It's not so much that they can't speak and say what's on their mind, because I do allow my kids to talk to me about what's going on. And though I might not want them to do it at the moment that they're trying to do it at, I do at some point let them say what they need to say. Maybe with some interruption, but they do get it out. And I do, it's not something where I say, you can't tell me what you want to say, go away, but I feel like they should understand when it's time. They should allow their parent to finish saying what they need to say, and then ask for permission to, for them to be able to say what's on their mind, because I think it shows them respect. Because when you just allow them to say what's on their mind when they want to say it, then they don't understand when it's not a good time. And as they grow up, they will grow up not understanding when is the good time. And when they're in a position of when someone has authority over them, or they're, at work, or, just somewhere where it's not a good time, and they're always used to being able to voice their opinion, they may not be able to distinguish that, And I feel like it always starts with home, and it always starts with how you raise your kids, and and all that good stuff, and that's what they bring up as they get older. Because even if you're a business owner, right? Even if you own your business and you control what happens within your business, you have to understand there's always someone that, I don't want to say that you have to answer to, but there's always someone that you're gonna have to deal with, where you're gonna have to understand that sometimes it's not the right time, or sometimes, you should just allow that person to voice their opinion. Because let's say it's your biggest client, they may be someone who just says whatever's on their mind. But does that mean that you go back and say what's on your mind? Sometimes it's just best to be quiet and allow that person to say what they need to say, and for you to just not, but it's just about balance. It's about explaining to them why they have a voice, when they can have that voice, and then instilling that, and not just letting it get uncontrollable where it becomes disrespectful. So yeah, I do believe in it, but I also believe that there is a place that they have.
Yes, you guys can see that Diana and I have differences of opinions on some things. That's an interesting take, and we talk about this all the time. It's just when we talk about it, I'm in it. Whenever we have this conversation, we're always in a different place. We've always had some growth, so I can receive these things a little bit differently than I did 2 weeks ago or 2 months ago when we talked about it before. But interesting. So this has been fun so far. All right, so like I said, obviously we have a little bit of differences of opinion, and that's okay, because we still find the harmony, we still find the balance, right? And I actually want to move on to talking about leading with love. And I think that leading with love in our relationship, leading with love when we're dealing with our children, allows us to make sure we maintain that balance and maintain that harmony. That's super important. When I was younger, my dad didn't necessarily lead with love. My foster parents didn't really lead with love. Most people, when they dealt with me, they led with anger. And I probably gave them a reason to, but it's well, I don't want to say that. It's not true. I didn't give them a reason to, but I wasn't easy to deal with as a child, and maybe they didn't have the resources or experience or knowledge to deal with me any other way. But that's why I want to do things differently with my children. I want to make sure that I lead with love, even when I've allowed myself to be upset by something or allowed myself to be angry or frustrated. I still try my best to lead with love when I start to deal with them. Do you guys agree? Did I do that?
Yeah.
Of course.
You guys don't sound believable.
No, you
Totally.
You do.
Tell my audience that I lead with love. So.
No, you definitely do, and I think you do a better job than me when it comes to that. And when I'm speaking to the kids, I speak to them with love, but sometimes I don't.
You mean yelling
show
at
it.
the kids?
No, I'm saying I don't show it sometimes while I'm talking to them, because I show more of my frustration. But even when you're frustrated, you still have, a nice softness to you when you're talking to them and disciplining them.
Let's get some more clarity on your answer, right? But you know what? I think we're done. I don't want to go back. I don't want to revisit that with you, because I don't think it's going to go over well for me in front of my audience.
Start talking about shapes and colors.
I do have less of an ego. I do. Part of my life's mission, my life's journey, is to completely eliminate the ego, kill the ego completely. That sounds so violent, but I want to get rid of the ego, and I think we have a better life when we can either, do less acknowledging of the ego or, completely get rid of the ego. But I'm okay with them making fun of me. I really am. We're joking. This is kind of how we play around. But it's important also, I'm going to talk about exercising patience, right? Because I know with Travis, I try my best to exercise patience with my son, because when I was younger, people didn't exercise patience with me. They were really quick to anger, and, I think being slow to wrath, is really important when you're dealing with people in general, but when you're dealing with your children as well. Because remember, guys, we are the example for our children to follow. We are their example. They're living, breathing, closest example to them. I know their peers are very influential as well, but we are their most, they experience us the most, their parents. So we are their example. So if I'm quick to wrath, or if I'm not slow to anger, my son's not going to be slow to anger. And actually, I always haven't been. I'm just now learning in my latter years how important it is to be slow to anger, and to be patient. So hopefully he just turned 14. So hopefully he still has some more years with us, lots more years with us. Hopefully he stays with us until he's 30. and or at least until he gets married. I love my kids. I want him to stay with me forever. So hopefully,
30.
He'll learn whenever he gets married. Stay with us forever until he's ready. Right? He's ready to go. Mm-hmm. Hopefully never. But, okay. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this thing up because it's going way too long. We definitely had a lot of fun. We always do have a lot of fun. But we talked about leading with love, exercising patience, and, the importance of understanding what our child's role is in our life, as well as letting children have a voice. And we hope that some of this has, enlightened you a little bit in some way, shed some light on how we do things here, in the Wolfe family. And I really hope that especially Travis's voice was heard today and you guys really got something out of it. And you can look at Travis as, your child and understand that they really have a lot of similarities in the way that they feel. And I think we deal with a lot of youth. And we hear a lot of the same things from youth. And many of them feel like they don't have a voice in their home. They feel like they're not being heard. They feel like they're not being respected or appreciated. And they're being treated like a child. And they have, of course they are children, but they're human beings as well. And we don't want to forget that, at least for us, we don't want to forget that our children are, just smaller human beings, just smaller people. And we treat them like they're people and give them that respect for the most part so that they can, express themselves and let us know how they feel. And they can learn how to let other people know how they feel out there in the real world as well. So hopefully you guys got a lot out of this podcast today. We're grateful for your time. We know you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here spending time with us, and we really appreciate that. We thank you so much. I thank my guests so much. Thank you guys so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely, man. I'm glad you guys were here. I really am. I love you guys. I love your presence. I love how you're always so funny. You always bring that light and that lightheartedness and that love to every experience. Even though sometimes you never stop going. This podcast has taken us probably about 2 hours to do. 4 hours maybe. It wasn't Travis. It was technical difficulties we were having as well. But and it was Diana. It was Diana though. I will say a lot of it was
7 takes you messed up.
A lot of it was her. But I love you guys, and I'm so grateful for you. That maybe you bring so much to me in my life and to the podcast. You brought so much here today with your insight and your perspective. I'm grateful for it. And I'm glad that you were open enough and willing to have a difference of opinion with me. Not that you ever are, but I'm glad that you were not that you ever are not willing to have a difference of opinion. But I'm glad that you were willing to share that with the world today. And she's always herself and she's always authentic, and I appreciate that about her. So thank you guys so much for being here. I love you guys so much. I appreciate your time, and thank you viewers who are watching, listeners who are listening. We really appreciate you guys as well. Please, as always, continue to be amazing, continue to be phenomenal, and of course, as always, can you guys help me out?
Wait, I have this. I got this. You say go, I say B. She says great.
All right, let's try it. Go.
B.
Great.
It's in the game.
What?
EA Sports.
No,
it's in the.
We're not. No, we're not. They're not paying for promotion here.
Oh, okay.
Go be great, guys. Thank you. Take care.